This is the thing. We need to get into our studio, but I need to get electric out there first before we
Yeah,
can get into the
there are
studio. Yeah,
steps.
we can hear you.
Good.
So we're just going to use this other microphone. So as we were saying, if you're new to our channel, um, every Monday we do this live, and we pull stuff from our social media thing. One of the places we spend the most amount of time is on our Mighty Networks group, where it's free, but we also have a paid version if you want to support us financially. And one of the advantages of that is that every Wednesday, Rachel does a live stream in the paid members group. Like, what did you talk about last week?
Last week we talked about the process of forgiving ourselves for past mistakes and forgiving ourselves for present mistakes. We're never going to be perfect. And part of being successful on keto is learning to forgive ourselves. And it takes work. It's not just like, it's a lot of things that you say, well, I need to do this. Like, I know I should be easier on myself, or I know I should extend grace. What does that look like? How do we take steps to head in that direction? Those are the types of things that we talk about, and really it's just such an awesome time of community, and it's a time of everybody kind of sharing their tips and the things that have worked for them with whatever topic that we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's funny. So here's the thing: Chris said, if it's not a live stream if something doesn't go wrong. That
Right.
is true. So if you're new here, the way we do Keto Beyond the Couch is we're going to go through the things that we've pulled, the comments we've pulled. The last 10 or 15 minutes we'll address the chat. So if you have a question, hold off to the last 10 or 15 minutes, or use the super chat function, which is the $ down below. This supports our channel, but it also highlights on our screen so we can not miss it and read it right away. But I saw Aaron said I hear birds chirping. We have 15 baby turkeys sitting down below us, and I actually this morning thought of a conundrum, and that is our 2 hen turkeys are now laying eggs. We discovered the other day that one of them, because we have them separated from one tom, so the 2 toms are kind of going at it of who gets to have fun. And so we rotate the toms every day because the girls decide who they're going to have sex with, basically, right?
Oh, that's a lot.
The girls decide that.
It's too early for all this.
We've been rotating them, and so we've been letting them out of their cage and leaving one tom like locked up. Otherwise, the toms will go at each other. And I noticed that our black one, as soon as you let her out, she would go running off into the woods. Now,
She's
remember,
a black Spanish
she
turkey.
is the instigator for going walkabout. But now that we have fencing,
She
can't do that. And I was like, I wonder what she's doing back there. I wonder if she's laying eggs back there. So yesterday, or the other day, we followed her, and she is. She is laying her eggs back in the woods. So we have 3 eggs from her. We have 5 eggs from the other, although she broke one overnight or this morning. So we have 4.
Stepped on it.
And I started thinking about something.
What?
It takes 28 days for a turkey egg to hatch to a turkey.
Yes.
When they begin incubating. We have 2 options. We can incubate them inside. I'm trying to find out if you're an expert on poultry. We've never done turkeys before. So should we pull their eggs and incubate them on their own, or should we let the turkeys be mamas? Pros and cons to both. The real problem is this. If they were to sit on them,
you're going to hatch out much
between now and Friday, they will hatch while we are in Elkhart, Indiana.
Oh.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we should do. We have to make a decision. The other option would be pull all of the eggs they lay between now and like Saturday or Sunday, and then put them in an incubator then, which would have them hatch out like a day or 2 after we get home from Elkhart.
It's
nature.
I know.
You can't plan pregnancy.
Life finds a way.
Right? So let us know what your thoughts are down below. We're going to jump right into Keto Beyond the Couch. I did want to mention, we do still have some open cabins. There's about 7 open cabins for ocean view balconies for the 2KK birthday back-to-back cruises, December 4th through the 8th and the 8th through the 13th. And so if you don't know what that is, it's a community cruise. We're doing 2 of them this year. So you can go on the first leg for 4 days, the second leg for 5 days, or you can do all 9 days. It's just a chance for us to all hang out together. We do have it capped at 100 people. There's some inside cabins left. And then there's also about 8 ocean view balconies on each cruise left. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, use the link down below in the description and go sign up. Don't miss it. It's going to be a
No,
blast.
it is so fun. It is so life-giving. I am telling you, it's just my favorite. It's just my favorite event of the year.
Okay. We're going to start off with this from Vicky.
Hey, Vicky.
If I had to choose between bacon and coffee, I would slap the person who's making me choose.
Amen.
I want both.
I seriously, and why do I have to choose when it comes to that? I actually shared an Instagram story about a real choice that I made because I was thinking about, like, I was talking to somebody who was saying, I would rather die than give up sugar. And they're saying that, really flippantly, like jokey, and I don't try to push anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. And I thought, you know what? I can have grace for that because there was a time when I would have said to you, I would rather die than give up sugar because I just love it so much and interactions with it so much. And then I thought, then I decided to live.
Yeah.
And when I decided I am going to live, and this isn't just going to be a fad, this is going to be forever, then I was able to say, I no longer feel like I'd rather die than give up sugar.
Well, I will never forget. In our old house in Coconut Creek, we were in the garage at the time you were shipping for your brother's comic book business.
Yeah.
You had been on keto about a year, and your mom came over, and Rachel's mom is the only person we've ever forced keto on.
Right.
We were kind of like, you are doing this, you have no choice. And I will never forget her stomping her feet like a 2-year-old toddler. If you think I am never having sugar again in my life, right? Do you remember that?
She was the cutest toddler ever, and we have a toddler granddaughter.
But the thing is that she was a type 2 diabetic for over 20 years.
Sure.
She had heart issues, like all kinds of issues. We had lost your dad, and we're like, this needs to get done. And then all of a sudden, when she's no longer a type 2 diabetic, she's like, yeah, maybe I don't need that sugar anymore.
Well, it's hard to think about. I mean, that's at any time, like you are doing things to better your health. You're starting to move. There's a time when I was like, I don't want to move. I don't want to lift heavy. I don't want to do any of those things. But when you start to see results, it starts to make sense. The hardest part is having faith that when you haven't yet seen results, that you're still going to be consistent in it. You know what I mean? It's easier. You've made a case for it once you start to see results.
Yep. Next one we have is from Margaret.
Hey, Margaret.
I saw a clip earlier today, and of course I can't find it. You were telling people how to make beef chips from Steak-umm.
Yes.
Man, they look good, but they aren't to be had where I live.
Oh.
So I asked Google what the difference between sliced deli meat and Steak-umm is. Basically, Steak-umm is more heavily processed, so I'm off tomorrow to find good deli meat and dehydrate that. Thanks for the trip, or
tip,
maybe
probably.
Tip. You saved me Fort Knox worth of dollar bills. Okay, so this is something that this is where I'm going to say don't trust Google on everything,
right,
because Google is wrong here. Okay, first of all, you could probably find Steak-umms, but they're not going to be called Steak-umms. There are a lot of different brands. Look in Walmart.
It's like sliced beef.
Usually it's whatever you would find. They'll come in patties. I can't think of the name of the one that we get in BJ's. Philly Gourmet. Look for anything where you would make Philly cheesesteaks. My personal opinion is Steak-umms and those type of sliced meats are not more heavily processed than lunch meat. First of all, let's get this straight. All meat is processed. Okay? All meat. Unless you are literally going out into the field and killing an animal with your bare hands and teeth and ripping it open like that, it's been processed. It's been butchered. It's been killed. All of that. So here's the thing. Lunch meat is very heavily processed, and we still will consume it. Lunch meat will be made, they add in preservatives. They have to add in, like, sodium and things like that. Steak-umm meat is literally just chopped up beef. If you look at them, they have one ingredient. So it's just chopped up beef, and then they put it in a thin layer. So it is less processed than lunch meat. You could technically make your own by making almost like a pate and rolling it thin between wax paper.
Well, there's two different ways at looking at process. There's process that has to do with adding ingredients, and then the word process for its interaction with tools.
Yeah.
So if you think about like how many tools does it take to make a steak, you're going to have a steak just be like, slicing it up. It's going to be like slicing things off of a bone. When it comes to taking the leftover of like, ground beef is like we took the steak and then we put it in a new tool,
right,
and that ground it up. Then if you want something like a Steak-umm consistency, you're going to have to take it to another tool and then also put it in a tool that makes it into a shape or form.
Right.
So again, we're talking about like, is it processed more? It is interacted with more tools than maybe a steak, but that doesn't mean that there's been ingredients added so much.
What Google had said was it's more heavily processed than lunch meat, and I would disagree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Because lunch meat
has
other ingredients, whereas Steak-umm's is just
the beef.
It's just beef that's been ground up, mashed up, and rolled into a very, very thin thing that it's almost like beef carpaccio, where you cannot even pick it up.
Yeah.
But it is really good. But yeah, look for products like Philly Gourmet. Look in the freezer section of Walmart. Just look for anything that says like Philly cheesesteak meat. That's what you're looking for.
You can Google like what are the generic forms of like Steak-umms and see like what's the brand in every store.
Okay, next one is from Laquita.
Hey, Laquita.
I haven't figured out how to count this yet in Chronometer. Roast beef with Swiss and seafood salad from a deli counter. I thought this was a good thing. She had a picture of it, but I didn't bother putting the picture. So when you go out to eat, how do you track that? And that's where you have to give yourself a little bit of leniency and guess. So in her picture, it looked like there were a couple slices of roast beef.
Okay.
And there were a couple slices of Swiss cheese.
Nice.
Okay, so when it comes to that, figure 2 slices of lunch meat is generally about an ounce. So just go in a Chronometer and put roast beef deli meat and use any one of them because you're gonna guess.
Right.
You're just trying
you don't
to have
know what
an
brands
idea.
they're using.
When it comes to sliced cheeses like deli cheese, generally every slice is a half ounce to an ounce. So again, just go in, Swiss cheese, put 1 ounce, 2 ounces, whatever you want, and then add that in. So this way you have an idea. The seafood salad's going to be a little bit trickier, but figure it's going to have about a tablespoon of mayonnaise.
I was going to say, what are the components that you are tasting when you're in there? It's like, I taste mayonnaise, I taste shrimp, maybe I taste celery, I taste onion, that sort of thing, and then just go from there.
Yeah. I did see. Andrea, shaved beef. That's another name that you can be looking for.
Yeah.
The one big thing I want to caution people with seafood salad is many seafood salads, like when you buy them in the store, they're made with imitation crab meat.
Right, not fish.
Avoid imitation crab meat at all costs.
Yeah.
Because it is just all sugar.
Right.
It's really fish with some flavoring and a bunch of sugar.
Right.
It's though seafood is keto friendly, imitation crab meat is not keto friendly.
And they usually use that as like a filler because it's inexpensive.
Next one is from Kale Ranch.
Kale Ranch.
If this is not allowed, please delete. But I take Manjaro for blood sugar. As for keto, was not working alone yet. That's okay. So my doctor, who is a Whole Foods type doctor, said I can work myself off the meds in time and just do keto after I lose some weight and blood sugar is under control. My question is, anybody else taking Manjaro and doing keto carnivore? If so, please tips would be appreciated. So I think this is a good thing. And again, we've gotten a bad rap for what our thoughts on Manjaro and Ozempic is. I think that they are miracle drugs when used appropriately as directed, like to help control your your blood sugars, to help people with diabetes, not necessarily for weight loss, but I do think they have to be used with a doctor, as you are doing.
Nice job.
Dr. Boz has a couple of videos where she's put up where she says the same thing, where they can help, especially in a short term type thing, because there are so many things that they can help you with. With keto not working, it does take some time sometimes for your blood sugars to come down. It's about your insulin, how far off you were. And also, what type of keto are you doing? The stricter you get it, the lower your carbs are, the more whole foods approach, the faster you're going to have blood sugar results. But doing them in conjunction is great. Here's my biggest tip. If you are doing keto slash carnivore along with a product like Ozempic or Mounjaro, first of all, I think it's the only way to use those drugs, as opposed to the people who you see, I'm taking Mounjaro, I'm taking Ozempic,
And
I'm using
not
these
changing my
GLP-1,
lifestyle.
but they're using it as an excuse to continue to eat M&Ms.
Right.
That is not going to work.
It's not going to
gain
end
it
well.
all back. You have to change your diet and your lifestyle. The biggest problem with these medications is they can lead to major muscle loss. And so what you want to make sure you are doing is consuming a lot of protein and make sure you are lifting weights.
Lifting heavy.
You've got to be lifting weights. You've got to do everything you can to preserve that muscle mass, because it's very hard as we get older to replace muscle mass.
Well, and just know that yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be probably harder. A lot of people kind of complain of like nausea and a little bit of lethargy when they are starting on this kind of thing. So you're going to feel less like you want to get a lot of exercise and lifts because you've got that as like an added obstacle. But tell yourself on it, I'm already getting a helper. I'm already getting an assistant. So I can't be like, okay, well, this is really hard to eat right and to also lift heavy and exercise, like it was before, because you're getting an aid. You're going to have to tell yourself, I've got to do this thing. Otherwise, on the other side of it, you're going to really regret it.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Laquita.
Yes.
I think we missed her birthday on Thursday.
We did? Okay, let's sing. You ready?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Laquita. Happy birthday to you, and many more.
I did see
so many more.
Denise's mom said for the Steak-umms, they're in the freezer section where the hamburger patties and chicken nuggets are, in case you're not looking for them there.
Thank you.
Thank you for that little
tip.
Sabrina.
Hey, Sabrina.
Has anybody tried the Everyday Doze coffee that has been showing up all over Facebook? I went to the actual website, but want to check before I order to see if anyone has any comments, good or bad. It does have a 45-day risk return policy.
Lucky what we have.
So we actually have some of this.
Yeah.
So we were sent some before we moved.
Yeah.
And it kind of got put away, and I found it.
So we're gonna try it.
So we're going to try this. So Sabrina, if you want to hold off a few days, we're gonna try this week, and we're going to make a video about it. Basically, it's hydrolyzed collagen powder, coffee bean extract, L-theanine, chaga fruiting body extract, and lion's mane. So I have no idea, but we're gonna try it, Sabrina, and then we will let you guys know about it.
Speaking of beverages, what do you got over there? In your mason jar.
I have so much work to do today. I have to paint the chicken coop. I have to make some phone calls. I tried to pay off my truck, and they lost the check, and
that was fun.
That was a whole fiasco. And so I'm just having a keto chow for breakfast because I literally do not have time. I was late doing comments this morning.
Is starting your day?
Peppermint.
Peppermints?
Yeah.
It is March.
Yeah.
Peppermints?
I love anything mint.
Can you eat or drink things outside of a holiday? Because that's
Absolutely.
Christmas, friend.
It's really good though.
You should be eating...
It's really good though.
Like we should be you should be having like pistachio or something green.
Yeah, but I found this in the storage unit. We have a whole box of them.
Do you drink the keto chow flavors when they are in an improper season? Because you can't even get that right now.
No, you can't. But that is why. So whenever Keto Chow comes out with a new flavor, all new flavors are limited edition flavors, and they'll decide if they're going to come back. This is listed as a limited edition.
Okay.
It's not listed as a seasonal. It's listed as a limited edition flavor, which means whenever a new flavor comes out, they put it as limited edition. If it does really, really well, they'll consider bringing it back later. Like, they need to bring back butterscotch, please.
I really love it. It's just...
This is why,
I don't know.
Whenever a limited edition of Keto Chow comes out, I buy a whole ton of it. I buy like 20 to 40 packets minimum of it because I do the same thing with keto bread. Everybody right now is crying that they can't get the new
The
keto
primal
brick
fudge.
primal fudge made with beef tallow, but I bought 45 of them.
And I've probably eaten 20 of them because
You
they're
probably
good.
eat more than that.
They're
But
good.
so that is just what I do. It's like a hoarder kind of thing, but I I change my mind of what I want, so
Can I
I
just
still have some great keto chow left.
I just want to share something. This is awful. I'm putting it out there. This is confession time, guys. I got to watch my granddaughter this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought her the carnivore bar. She ate one. I know she loves it, right?
Not the apple pie.
No, not the apple pie. Okay, because
she's the only person who can have apple pie.
I know, but I didn't bring it. But I did not bring a keto brick, the primal like fudge keto brick with me because I knew she was gonna love it, and I didn't want to share that flavor with my granddaughter.
Nice.
That was awful. Can I also say congratulations to our granddaughter Peyton, who went pee pee in the potty? Pee pee in the potty. She's pee pee in the potty. We pee pee in the potty.
Are you done?
I also pee pee in the potty.
Okay, nice. Juliana actually said that I can go ahead. I have a peppermint pinwheel Nespresso and peppermint mocha collagen right now. Go
Okay.
ahead, sir.
All right. Well, I'm glad somebody signed that permission slip because I feel like unless O Tannenbaum is playing in the background of Walmart, you can't drink it.
Read this one from Laura.
Hey, Laura. Went with my husband to the doctor today and he's still trying to push a statin on him. I asked, aren't they the only 1% effective? He said, no, that's false information. I asked, why is it printed on the pamphlet that comes with the prescription? That is such a great call out. He would need to look at what I was looking at to help explain it to me. His A1C went from 5.4 to 5.8, and the doctor said he was fine and in a good range for a diabetic. I said, wasn't he no longer a diabetic at 5.4? And the doctor said, once a diabetic, always a diabetic, no matter the A1C results after first diagnosis. That is bull crap.
Well, she said I call BS.
Oh, I call BS. Good job. Obviously, Laura, I do as well. But am open for an explanation. I don't get that. Can someone please explain this? Is this just another ignorant doctor?
First, we are not doctors, lawyers, or health professionals.
Lawyers? Doctors.
Yeah, I've got to put lawyers in this one.
Okay, not doctors, lawyers, nurses, or health professionals.
Yeah, we're not nurses either, but we're not lawyers here. But I got to be careful because, I don't want a doctor to sue me.
Let me go get a stick so I can walk this tightrope.
So, is this an ignorant doctor? Possibly. I would say...
He's just in step with the propaganda.
I would say he is an ill-informed doctor. In many ways. I think he is a result of propaganda from the pharmaceutical industries. I was watching a great interview the other day, and it involved Dr. Drupinski.
Yeah.
And, he was just talking about, we've got to get, the health insurance companies out of medical care. The health insurance companies literally
dictating to the doctors.
Dictating to the doctors the type of care patients get. And they are influenced by the drug companies. And so this becomes the problem.
Not good.
I cannot get over this cold, sorry. But we have this situation where the drug companies are telling the insurance companies thing, and the insurance companies are telling the doctors, this is how you're going to do it because this is cheaper. And it makes no sense. And he was even talking about, how did we get the food pyramid so wrong so many years ago?
Right.
And, he was talking about how he has, really high hopes for this country in, some of the things that RFK wants to do. Maybe not agree with everything, but some of the things getting rid of drug company ads on television, I think that's a great deal.
No matter what you're eating.
And I think the problem is these doctors have to walk a tightrope.
Sure.
Number one, they have to walk a tightrope. If you didn't know, my mother was a medical professional. She was an oncologist. I was going to medical school. My mother begged me, do not become a doctor. Because this was at the time that HIPAA was taking over and being implemented, and 1 out of 3 patients sues their doctor. And doctors have to have this in the back of their mind.
Every time.
Pretty much every other patient that walks in their office is going to sue them. And so if they do one thing wrong or say one thing and then that something happens to that patient, they can get sued. It's like I'm a sports official. As somebody who trains officials in football, I would tell them, fellow officials, and in lacrosse, I say never snap the helmet of another player. And I've literally been accused of being a racist for not snapping somebody's helmet. The reason I won't snap a helmet is because every person in the stands has a camera on me. And I'm going to snap that player's helmet, put the buckle on so it doesn't come off. He's going to get hit in a play. His helmet's going to come off and he's going to have a concussion. And then someone's going to have a photo of me snapping his helmet and say the official
Didn't do it right.
Didn't do it right, so he's at fault. And that's what happens with these doctors. So they have to walk this fine line, and they have insurance companies saying you must prescribe these drugs. And so you have to remember that in the back of your mind. They also have to be careful, even if they believe that type 2 diabetes can be reversed, which we all believe at minimum could be put into remission.
Sure.
They can't say that because the ADA, nobody has come out and said, okay, you can
It's
cure
possible.
this.
Yeah. So until somebody with like a higher up deems it like acceptable to distinguish somebody like that, they have to follow procedure. And I also have grace for them too, because like, you know, you are faithfully telling them the whole truth and explaining things. But like when you say 1 out of 3 patients sue them, 1 out of 3 patients and probably more are lie to them. Yes. As well, as far as like what they're doing, and sometimes even like what like drugs that they are taking. Like how many times does somebody, you know, when they say like, are you, you know, exercising at least 3 times a week, and you're just telling her, yes, absolutely. I like bald-faced lied to doctors and we're like, yes, I have no idea why I'm having trouble, like, you know, having any stamina at all.
The one and only lawsuit my mother ever had, because she was really blessed, was where somebody went to one hospital
and got one drug, and
then they came to her hospital and didn't tell them about the other one, and now we're on multiple medications and got treated wrong and ended up passing away.
Yeah.
And so it happens. Now, this is not to say that this is the case with this doctor. Some doctors are just ignorant and lazy. Not all.
Not all.
But some are just ignorant and lazy, and they're like, I don't want to do the research. Yeah. And so kudos to you for saying, but what about what's written on the actual package from the drug company?
I love that, because I mean, that was like such a, I wish I was there for that moment when that's just misinformation. Really? That's what the drug pamphlet says.
Yeah. Juliana said, in general, autoimmune disease don't resolve. We go into remission. So I think that's true. The true go between. You're better, but could be slide back at any point. And we don't even know. We don't even, because keto and carnivore is still relatively new on the medical scene. We don't know what would happen if you were a type 2 diabetic and then you lowered your A1C and then you just stayed there, and in 10 years, you decided, I'm going to start if you go back to the sugar, you're going to become a diabetic. But that's going to happen with anybody, whether you were a diabetic before or not. But then maybe start incorporating some more whole food carbs and stuff later on. Would you immediately revert back to being a diabetic? We don't know, because there's no research on it.
We're going to have to, we're right now living the research.
So what's the best thing to do? Just eat the right foods.
It's going to be stay the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is from Rita.
Hey, Rita.
I love that low-carb eating is getting more common.
Yeah.
I went to Denny's for breakfast, and the server didn't blink when I ordered 4 eggs, 4 bacon, and 4 sausage links. She didn't even ask if I want bread or potatoes. I call it a win.
I call that a super win. And don't be, again, more and more, this is not like a foreign concept to anybody anymore, especially if you're going out to a restaurant of some sort. Let your server know so that they can provide the best service as possible to you. Let them know, like, hey, I am low carb keto. I'm trying to avoid carbs. What's good here? What do you recommend for somebody who leads with meat and doesn't eat potatoes or rice or pasta? just look at them and ask them. And they're going to come back with their recommendations. They want to make your dining out experience work and be pleasurable because they want return customers. They want you to really buy something nice while you're eating there, and they want you to come back.
Even when we went on our last cruise in January, like we would say we don't want the bread, and pretty much every waiter almost immediately picked up, oh, you don't want carbs.
Yes.
They pretty much picked it up. So, yeah, it is becoming more common. Back to the other thing, one thing I do want to say with the A1C going from 5.4 to 5.8, if you're eating more of a carnivore diet, that happens sometimes because what ends up happening, there's a lot of theories, is that your red blood cells are living longer. I don't think A1C is the best test for it. The best thing to do is get your doctor to give him a CGM.
Since he refuses to not call him a diabetic. Look at
some other things. Yeah, say, hey, I'm a diabetic. I want a CGM. And then you can really follow what your glucose is doing. Next one is from Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
I just realized I was on the first hole in my jeans belt. I used to be on the last one. Heck, when I first got this belt a long time ago, it didn't fit at all. Now I'm going to have to buy a new belt. I haven't lost additional weight, but the belt is looser.
Okay, so what do we do when that happens? Like, we're saying to ourselves, and maybe you're like, you're in this like cycle of, I'm very frustrated because I don't see things happening on the scale, but it becomes undeniable that things are happening with your belt. Like, your belt doesn't change. It is not even like you can say, well, I've been able to, like, as I've washed my jeans over and over again, like they shift or change. But like, your belt is your belt.
Right.
And it either fits or like you have to tighten it. Like there is, so what do? Do you begin to let go of the frustration about the scale and instead lean into the joy of the acknowledgement that something is happening?
Well, we've been on this farm for what? I don't even lost count out.
8 months or more.
9 months.
I have a baby by now.
I'm not down 1 pound.
Oh, okay.
I'm not down 1 pound. But when I look at videos of myself, I get a lot of comments from people, oh, look at how much you've slimmed down. My clothes are looser. One of my lacrosse uniforms that I could not wear last year, I can wear this year. But I'm literally not down 1 pound.
I get it. I get the frustration. Like, this doesn't make sense.
So you have to look at other things.
But you have to look at other things. And so how long do you stand there and do the or do you just say, like, screw it?
Yep.
I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I can wear a uniform that I couldn't wear last year.
Right. Next one is from Trish.
Hey, Trish.
Non-scale victory. I cleaned my oven today.
Yay.
I saw this and I was like, I'm sorry, Trish, but I was like, so? I just saw, it's all
what?
I just put, I cleaned my oven today.
Okay.
And I didn't read the rest yet.
All right.
And I was like,
sounds like a jerk.
Why is this a non-scale victory? Because you clean, I don't come clean my oven because I hate cleaning ovens. Then I saw, I actually used the oven cleaner and rags and got down in there.
Okay.
A year ago, there was no way I could maneuver my body to do that.
So
then I felt like a jerk.
You are a jerk.
I am a jerk. But you know what I'm saying? When you just see that first part,
you're thinking about,
you're like how is this a non-scale victory that I can clean my oven?
Because it was like this self-cleaning oven where you have little to no, like,
self-cleaning ovens don't work. Let's be honest.
I know, but I would not do what Trish is doing and get down in there and like really like clean it out.
Right.
Like that's work. That's elbow grease.
By the way, self-cleaning ovens are 10 times worse, in my opinion, than the chemicals that you can spray in your oven to clean it. Because they literally, like, we had Grayson.
They would say,
you had to take the bird completely out of the house because turning on your oven on self-cleaning, unless you just have the steam clean feature like the one we bought for here, it puts off such noxious chemicals. And it's at an extremely high heat. Maybe
we should not do that thing.
Right.
Well, congratulations, Trish, and I'm sorry that your friend Joe is a jerk.
Yeah. Next one's from Carrie.
Hey, Carrie. It
says, animal doctors, your dog is sick. Usually it's related to their diet. What is he eating? Human doctors, I'm sorry to hear you get stomach aches every time you eat. Have you tried antacids? If that doesn't work, we should run an endoscopy and then look at your stomach from the inside. If that doesn't work, you're probably dying and should try chemotherapy.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, why is that? And I was just like, accurate.
So accurate.
Accurate.
Every single time we have ever taken an animal at all to a vet, cat,
First thing they
dog,
ask.
bird, first thing that they ask, the absolute first thing that they ask is that.
Yeah.
And it answers a lot of problems.
We took Tabitha years ago. She was losing fur.
Yeah.
Remember? And I took her to the vet, and that was the first question they asked. What is she eating?
When they found out that she was mostly eating like a carnivore diet, then they started looking to maybe she was allergic to things that she was like brushing up against, and found out that she had a major like plastic allergy.
My only problem there was when I said I'm feeding her a grain-free diet, and they're like, oh, that causes heart problems. And then the vet tech said that causes heart problems. But then the vet actually said that's propaganda from the large pet food companies, because their pet foods are all loaded with, like these, fillers and things so that they could make more money. But one of the things that we've done with Tabitha, and we do with all our animals here, is I can't afford a vet. Okay?
Right.
I can't. First of all, finding vets for poultry, very difficult. We took one turkey to a vet.
$140.
And it's funny, she's the one that we spent on, that's the one that's here.
Yeah.
That's laying eggs.
Praise God.
Right? So she's not the one that got shot.
Right.
Right? So that's, but
Thankful.
we really cannot afford to go to a vet. So for me,
you have to
the
feed them
best thing to do is feed them a natural diet
so
that they're
don't
supposed to eat, and give them the best chance. So Tabitha eats a pretty much whole foods, grain-free diet. She gets a lot of meat from here on the farm. Maybe eventually I'll do raw food with her, as we can actually, grow more of our own food and raise more of our own food. But we don't give her all of the corn and the grains and stuff, because that's just fillers.
Yeah.
And she thrives on it. All of our chickens and turkeys they're eating bugs and worms. We're raising mealworms and earthworms and everything else. And then they're supplemented with non-GMO organic feeds.
Right.
So we want to give them the best leg up, which, by the way, we sold all of our eggs yesterday. It was so cool.
It was.
I felt like a drug dealer, because I met somebody up at Wawa. They're like, oh, do you come into town? And I'm like, yeah, we got to go into town. I can bring them to you. And as I'm going over and handing her 3 dozen eggs, 2 other people, do you sell eggs? Do you sell eggs?
Right.
I need eggs.
Give me your phone number.
Can I have your phone number so I can buy eggs from you? And I'm like, they're like, how much? I'm like, $4 a dozen. How many do you have? And I'm like, well, we get about 6 to 7 dozen a week right now.
Yeah,
so
that's hilarious.
I thought it was funny. Next one is from Sonia.
Hey, Sonia.
I asked this on another website and I didn't get much response. What is the difference between what an egg fast does versus beef, butter, bacon, and egg? I've only done a 5-day egg fast and then 2 days tapering off of it. I was wondering why you would pick one over the other. An egg fast is just fun.
Well, an egg fast is obviously you're only getting one ingredient of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs it is going to give you more options, and then and more availability of nutrients, really, because like ruminant animal meat is the top shelf. And also, I'm gonna say that beef, butter, bacon, and eggs has within it a natural kind of 30-day, 60-day, really 90-day kind of time period, whereas the egg fast kind of feels right and reasonable, just keep it at a week or so. So obviously you're going to have a lot more benefits that come as a result of a longer time getting rid of all the other food in your life.
So yeah, that's what I said. An egg fast is kind of fun. It's 5 days, quick, get rid of the noise. Maybe you don't have too much food noise and you just need a good reset and get rid of the noise. If you could do an egg fast for 30, 60, or 90 days, I think that would be optimal, because sure, I don't think there's any better food really than an egg. You have, yes, ruminant meat, but I mean, eggs just, it brings life. It's got every single thing you need in it. Beef, butter, bacon, and egg, I think is really good, but you need to do it. That's the difference. It's 5 days versus 30, 60, 90 days. 5 days is going to eliminate food noise, but it's not really an elimination diet, because for an elimination diet to really get rid of everything that you're eating that could possibly causing inflammation, you need a minimum of 30, 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
And that's whether you do carnivore, whatever you're going to do.
Give it an authentic try.
30, 60, 90 days should be the bare minimum. Doing carnivore for a week as an elimination is not enough time to get everything out of your system. I personally think beef, butter, bacon, and egg is a better elimination diet than carnivore. And the reason is beef, butter, bacon, and egg is also eliminating dairy.
Yeah.
And it's true. Also eliminating seafood. And though seafood can be really good, it can have a lot of mercury and other things in there. So my personal opinion is beef, butter, bacon, egg is a much better elimination diet than eating a carnivore diet.
Well, and if you're looking for something fun
though they are both carnivore. It's a stricter form of it.
There are a lot of people who will do things like 75 hard. Like they will join like a group and say, hey, I'm going to do like a 75 hard challenge. Well, if you have somebody in your life that's not keto, right? They haven't done that yet. Challenge them to do a 75 hard keto challenge with you and say like, hey, we're going to do, instead of it being like completely focused on the exercise and movement, let's try to do it with 75 hard when it comes to what we're eating, and just challenge them to do that with you.
Yep. Next one is from Chris.
Hey, Chris.
I know Rachel likes the Keto Brains creamer.
I do. In fact,
have you guys tried their electrolytes, and what is your opinion on them? I have to be honest.
Yeah, we have not tried those.
Not only have we not tried them, I didn't know they exist.
Yeah.
Because we just have Keto Brains on auto ship, so I don't go to their website anymore.
No, I don't.
So we will have to look into that. As far as electrolytes, I really do like Salty, Element, and Redmond. And people ask us, I saw comments the other day, that which one do I like best? I like them all for different reasons. I think the cleanest one is Salty.
Sure.
Because it doesn't have any maltodextrin in the natural flavors. And it also has more potassium and more magnesium than the other two, but it's still in the correct ratios and proportions to sodium. Some people find that they have a taste to them. The earlier versions of Salty, the packaging, I found allowed humidity into them, and so if they sat too long, but I know they have fixed that with the newer packaging.
They definitely have.
And then, they had redone a couple of flavors, and the grapefruit and the cherry to me are just amazing.
It's kind of like when you get to the elementary Salty and Redmond challenge, now it's kind of like the old like Coke and Pepsi challenge. It becomes, what is the flavor that you like?
No one's have different flavors,
and nobody's wrong. It's not the difference between something that's good for you and something that's terrible for you. It's all going to be boiling down to taste preferences, and they all have like different offerings with different flavors. And so like, what's right for you? There's some people that I can remember. If you ask my mom like, what's the best like soda flavor, she's gonna be like Tab. You would probably be like Tab, like the old Tab.
They discontinued it. But
okay.
Yes.
So some people are going to say Diet Coke. Some people are going to say Coke Zero, Pepsi Zero, that kind of thing. So it really comes down to flavor. Like, so what is our favorite? It depends sometimes on what I'm in the mood to taste.
Like, I think that Salty's grapefruit is better than Elements. But for a long time, Salty didn't have grapefruit. So I liked Elements. I like Redmond's watermelon better than the other two watermelons. So it just really comes down to, for example, Element had the caramel flavor.
Yes.
That was very good. They don't have that. Salty has caramel vibes, which is amazing, especially if you just mix it in water. It's almost like drinking a caramel milk.
It's so good.
But Element was really good because you could sprinkle a little bit of the chocolate on top of like whipped cream or something, or ice cream, and have like a topping.
Right, I was going to say that was a texture issue.
Right.
So like
everything is different.
Everything is different because like I will usually take Relight or I'll take Element with us if we are going to like a fun park, because I will just eat it like a pixie stick, whereas Salty doesn't work like that.
Salty dissolves faster.
It dissolves.
So it really comes. But we will look into the Keto Brains ones and let you guys know about it.
What I do know is that they are a responsible company.
Yes.
So if you're asking me, do I think you dare try it, or is it going to be a waste of money on, like, sugar water? I don't think it's going to be a waste of money no matter what, because I believe in them.
Like Gatorade and all that stuff is a waste of money.
Exactly.
Next one's from Franny.
Hey, Franny.
So my youngest daughter was taking a psych drug that was making her evil, because we were talking about the drugs last week, right? She went back to the doctor. He said, congratulations, you were the one person who gets all of the nasty side effects.
Wow.
He changed her meds and found a better solution. The side effects are no joke.
They really aren't. And I now approach, because over the course of my mental health journey before keto, you name the drug and I was on the drug. And depending on the doctor, I don't think that they like deprescribed and then switched your prescription in a responsible way all the time. And so there was a lot of times where I was dealing with really scary side effects. So now whatever I take, no matter if it's like an over-the-counter thing, even like if we're sick and I'm standing there thinking like this cough, like Joe's had this cough and it's like, it's super annoying. It is annoying, right, to get through it. But you have just decided, I'm not going to take an over-the-counter drug for this. I'm just going to live through it and apologize that I'm grossly coughing sometimes. Okay. I still now look at even over-the-counter drugs and I say, what are the side effects? What are the potential side effects of this? And I go ahead and assume I'm going to get the worst of it, because I need to plan for that to happen, right? Because in my experience, like Franny's daughter had, there were a lot of times where I got caught in the net of some really scary side effects.
I'm convinced that these drug companies list all of these side effects to get them out of lawsuits.
Oh yeah, because
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm wondering. I almost wonder if like they're like,
sure,
we warned you. Look at the list of side effects.
Yeah, no givesies, backsies.
I don't know. I mean,
I agree.
That's one of my issues with all different types of vaccines. I think that vaccines could be great, but the fact that vaccine companies can't get sued, that kind of scares me. It's like they can do whatever they want because they can't get sued.
Right.
So that is something that worries me. Next one is from Marie.
Hey, Marie.
For the person asking about sourdough, look for a cottage baker in your local area that does a true long fermented sourdough. You will be paying $10 to $15 a loaf. Most sourdough you find at a store is artificially soured with vinegar.
Thank you so much for that tip, Marie, and also giving us kind of like a price point to look for, because we've seen, when it comes to cottage industries, we've seen the whole range.
Well, you're going to one right after this.
I am. Like there are the lady that watches our chickens when we're gone is having like a get together of like local businesses that have like cottage, industries. And so I just want to see like who are my neighbors. And I think that this is a great one-stop shop for that, to kind of, meet some people in the area. But yeah, it's nice to know like, what should I expect to pay? And then think about that. Like, if this is something that is super important to me, I want to have this sourdough in my life, what am I going to let go of in order to have $15 for a loaf of this? Like, what are some things that I'm going to let go of in order to have this thing that I want? And then how am I going to make it appropriately stretch so that I can fully enjoy it in an appropriate way?
Yeah. Next one is from Elle.
Hey, Elle.
Any of those marketed keto brand breads do nothing for me. All I do is overeat them. Stay clear.
Yeah, here's where we talk.
I think it's a slippery slope.
It is a very slippery slope. And I also think that it can lead to other things. If I am just like, I'm making this, it's not helpful. It's going to taste like wheat because it is wheat, right? It's going to taste a lot like what you were used to because it is what you were used to in a new packaging, right? Mm-hmm. So you're eating this stuff, and I think it makes you keep a foot in the rest of that lifestyle. What did you eat when you ate with a sandwich? What was the side dish? So now I'm eating a sandwich. Now I want chips with it or fries with it. I'm eating a hamburger with a bun. I'm not just going to have that experience. I'm going to think about all the other things on my plate. I would love to say that give me what I want this one time and I will not like let you give me an inch and take a mile. But what I do know about myself is it is a slippery slope. Right. I do tend to take a mile. I won't just stop and say, all I want is just a sandwich every single day for lunch. I'm going to think about all the other things that went with my sandwich pre-keto.
Yeah. Next one is from Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Rachel, I'm with you. I'm not a fan of grape. Joe can have my share.
Yay. Okay, somebody on Team Rachel. Finally.
I was so disappointed. So the grape Celsius that I was talking about last week,
Did you find it?
it is grape essentials. They've always had a regular grape Celsius, but they have the essentials, which is the bigger cans, like the blue raspberry that you like,
Uh-huh.
and they have a grape in that. I ordered it on Amazon. They were even having a deal of 30% off a subscription on your first one. And so I ordered it, and it didn't come along with watermelon. They have a watermelon essentials now.
Okay.
You can't if you don't like grape, you can't have watermelon though. That's the deal.
I love these nonsense rules.
I order and then I get an email. We've lost your order. Sorry. If you don't receive it in 48 hours, contact us and we'll give you your money back. It's like, if you lost my order, can I have my money back now so I can reorder it now? No, I've got to wait 2 or 3 days and then reorder it. And now I'm not getting it until this Thursday.
I think that there's another Rachel at the warehouse that is seeing, like, you know, she doesn't want anybody to have to be burdened by grape. And so anybody that orders grape, she's just like, no.
We should mix the watermelon and the grape together.
I'm going to love you. I'm going to not ship you this thing. I'm going to help you, whether you like it or not.
Next one is from Brian.
Brian the Brian.
Every time I buy strawberries, I'm thinking I really want these. I think this is from Brian. Then
the Brian.
I eat 2 of them, and that's it. It's just not there. Same with pork rinds. I always think I'll buy pork rinds and make pork rind nachos. Have dip with pork rinds. Then they just sit. I'd rather just grab a beef stick and string cheese and keep it as a snack at work.
I think I'm right there with you. I can
identify with this.
So we have the saddest freezer burned, like 3/4 of a bag of flash frozen strawberries, like in the freezer. And I feel like it's just holding court in there because I had the same experience as Brian. Like, I really like when we go to a
You get a hankering for something.
You get a hankering for something. I like going to like a U-Pick and picking strawberries. But I'm like you. I'm good for like 2 or 3, and then like we've got to move on. And
either that or you just completely overindulge.
Right. And I blow out my strawberry taste. But the only thing that really works for me when it comes to strawberries is if we freeze dry them.
Yeah.
Then I can come back to them later. And they taste amazing.
Yeah, well, of course, because they're freeze dried.
Michelle and I were talking yesterday about disappointment recently with like fruits and vegetables. And I've all but given up buying vegetables and fruit from any place except for like this Mennonite farm stand that's like down the street, because like I'll even go get a tomato. I like tomatoes. Tomatoes don't always like me. I'm actually allergic to tomatoes. I get like sores on my tongue from tomatoes, but I like them anyway. So here we go. We're eating them anyway. But it's like a couple of the last times that I bought a tomato at a regular grocery store, it tastes like the texture of a tomato, but like the flavor is not there. Like just going through the motions.
Next one is from Anthony.
Hey, Anthony.
Thank you for answering my question about the recipe for your coffee creamer. Recently, I've been using nut pods only because they've been on sale lately.
Sure.
Usually, I don't like any creamer, just a little butter, if anything. For your recipe, is it necessary to use keto chow? It's not something I usually have on hand. Is there something else could be used instead? I do have some whey protein. Any protein powder will work. I just think keto chow is good because you're getting the vitamins, the nutrients.
They're tastier.
They're tasty. They
not
have
chalky.
The sweetener. Just get a good clean protein powder, or good clean, you can get
like Isopure.
Isopure. Usually a whey protein is going to be better, or a milk protein isolate is going to be better. I would say use Equip. I don't think Equip makes as good of a coffee creamer because it's a beef protein, and using a whey or a milk protein isolate protein is going to make it more like a milky kind of creamer.
Rich. Yeah.
Next one is from Silent Runner.
Shh, Silent Runner.
We raised 100 roosters in a brooder every spring for meat when I was in grade school. One of my chores was keeping them fed and watered. I remember defeathering them by hand. I still remember how my mom cut them up, though I did not do that back in the mid-1960s. So we have 25 meat birds right now, but these are hens because that's what I could get. They're They won't grow as big, or we'll have to grow them out a week longer to get them to that same 4 to 6 pound weight. We're gonna do a batch of roosters. They're actually not roosters. They're cockerels because they haven't mated yet.
Sure.
But we'll grow them out like the end of June, like after we get back from the low carb cruise.
I'm so excited about.
By the way,
low carb cruise.
today I believe is the final payment date on low carb cruise. If you haven't done that, get a hold of Debbie and make sure you pay for your cruise.
We can't wait to see you.
So yeah, we'll do it that way, and then they get a little bit bigger and stuff. But
we're going.
We will not be hand plucking a chicken.
No, we will get a machine for that because that's a lot. That's a lot of.
Though you watched one of your favorite movies the other day where she was hand plucking a turkey.
One of my favorite movies, and it's just, I don't know, it's even more dear to my heart now, is called The Mating Game. It's an old movie with Debbie Reynolds and Tony Randall. Anybody else a fan of The Mating Game? It's just such a sweet movie. I love it.
Next one is from Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
Can you use hog jowl fat for pemmican? Yes, it's basically lard. So here's the thing. If you haven't seen the pemmican video, to make pemmican, you need to use rendered fat. What is rendered fat? It's where all of the impurities have been taken out, purified fat. So you take your fat, so whether it be hog jowl fat, you can take the fat from beef. If you get a brisket, you cut off all the excess fat. You can take all that fat, you chop it up, you turn it into tallow. Pork fat is turned into lard. So you have to get all the water out, all the impurities out. Now you have a pure, shelf-stable fat source. So you could use hog jowl fat for pemmican. Pretty much any animal fat that has been, rendered down can be used. One of the things that makes beef tallow so good is it doesn't have a taste, whereas lard tends to have a more gamey taste.
Yeah.
Next one is from Chris. This is the last one.
Hey, Chris.
What is the brand of mineral drops that you are using? We use the salty / keto chow daily mineral drops.
They're good. It's just, you've got to, you've got to get the right ratios because they do have a flavor. They do have a taste, but they're just excellent.
Okay, Sabrina has a question.
Hey, Sabrina.
I want to ask about another review you might do at some point of the Wild Brand chicken chips. They are a little expensive, but taste amazing. Yes, we've seen them. I think we were going to do a video on them.
Okay, so we're definitely going to do a video on them because yes, they're like $10 a bag at Costco, but like very intriguing.
Yeah. Kat said I tried Keto Brains for about 6 months, but didn't notice anything. Plus, it wasn't creamy enough for me.
So this is a good time to bring up Keto Brains and to talk about that because if you are somebody like me who has big challenges with what, maybe somebody would say ADHD. So, you have attention issues. You have trouble focusing your brain energy. I have trouble with that. I'm somebody that can I'm thinking a lot of things, but it's hard. Right. It's hard to channel it. You can see probably Matt from Matt's RV Reviews that we interviewed yesterday on 2 Crazy Campers. Check that video out. Talk about somebody that we are so proud of celebrating. Matt has lost more than 95 pounds. 95 pounds at the time we interviewed him, now 100 pounds lost. He went keto like us. So thankful for him and see how well he's doing. But you can see when we're together, we're all over the place. Yeah. So I think that if you have a challenge focusing, you will notice the difference. But if you're somebody like Kat that probably doesn't have the issues that I have, then you're not going to be done with a cup of coffee with Keto Brains and be like, wow, I feel different because you're having a challenge focusing. You're already able to focus your mental energy. I have a challenge with it.
Angie said, what do you think of the Chobani sugar-free coffee creamer? The problem with most store-bought coffee creamers is they use seed oils.
Yeah,
for
as
their
the fat source.
That's one of the reasons we will get one in a pinch, but we prefer not to. If we're not making something in our house, we like to use super creamer when
super
you can
creamer.
get it. All of our stores stopped selling it.
Except for Walmart.
But even our local Walmart stopped selling it.
It's hit or miss.
And then
Sprouts
we found one at the Walmart in Port Charlotte, so we bought like 7 of them. Because you just never know when they're going to have them. Denise said I do protein sparing bread or chaffles when I need a bread mix, but quite frankly, I no longer desire bread at all. And I think that's a good place to go. I have tried to, or we have tried to get away from making a lot of look-alike recipes.
Sure.
You know, and we are definitely guilty of making like look-alike recipes.
Sure.
For example, like macaroni and cheese, carnivore macaroni and cheese. I think there's a place where you have to just go, you can make something that maybe it's similar, but don't call it that. You know, it's like to make a bread out of eggs and then say this is bread. It's not bread.
It's not
and it's going to disappoint 99% of the people that have it. You know, it's a good carrier. And you can get into like you've seen this with cauliflower and again we're guilty of this. You've seen it with cottage cheese where like cauliflower became the end all and be all. Like we could make everything with cauliflower.
Like the cauliflower
could be turned into a steak if you work hard enough at it.
I have seen people actually try to sell it as like cauliflower steaks, like vegetable steaks. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, so it's
stop it.
Egg whites. You know, and again, this is not a knock on any other creator.
Sure.
We are just as guilty of this.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get away from that because it just disappoints people. Like, just call it what it is. Like, you know, you can enjoy things without going like, you know, even when it comes to like Oreo cookies. Like, hey, I made a keto version of an Oreo cookie. Well, if you're trying to pull somebody over to the dark side, right? And they're an Oreo fanatic, they're going to taste a keto version of an Oreo cookie
and
throw it at you and go, this is crap. As opposed to just going, try this delicious cookie that doesn't have any sugar in it or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I think that it's easier to win them over that way. Like, you can still have sweet treats.
I think that your keto journey evolves if given enough time. If you stick to it, it just evolves. I think that's why some people have a really hard time if they're going along in their keto journey and then they tap out for a while and then they come back and they're saying to themselves like, why can't I just tap right back in? And like, why do I feel a weird dissatisfaction? Why is this not working the same as when I was first starting it? It's because you were in a flow. You were in this evolution that was happening, and then you divorced yourself from it and then tried to jump back into the marriage and say like, hey, keep that flow going. Well, no, you stopped the flow. So sometimes it's not going to feel the same. Right. And I think for us too, one of the things since living in the RV and having such limited space, I think that we've gotten away from any recipe that takes 30 steps to create because I don't have enough room for 30 steps.
But you have a kitchen now.
I know. I'm so excited about that. Maybe we'll go back to 30-step recipes. But I think that we will probably continue to keep things simple because we got away from complicated.
Yeah. Carla wants to know, what is the name of the company to purchase raw uncooked pork rinds? We got them from a company called Rudolph Foods. There's also, it is porkrinds.com. Sells them in small bags, so you don't have to buy a big 10-pound bag.
Like is it the Southern Batch people?
Yeah, it's the same people. Southern Batch. And they come in a little white bag with a blue label, and they're just uncooked.
But if you want to go to just directly to Rudolph Foods, you're going to pay the least amount, but you are going to have a lifetime supply of pork rinds.
And we don't make any money off of them or anything like that.
No.
Robert said, I'm interested in mealworms. Can you or have you done a video on them? I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll put a video in one of our upcoming vlogs about the mealworms because Rachel likes to play with them, which is kind of weird to see Rachel playing with beetles and worms.
Playing with them sounds weird. I'm not like getting out like play sets. And
the fact that you're not disgusted by picking them up, especially when you put them in your hand and they're moving around, it reminds me of Indiana Jones movies.
Why does it have to be worms?
But yeah, we can do something like that. We're not an expert on them. We kind of just watched a lot of YouTube videos. But here's the cool news is we did film finally the opening video for our new Homesteading channel.
It's happening this week.
And so that will be launching this week, and it will get announced first over in our Mighty Networks group.
Sure thing.
So that's where you can find out about that first. But super excited that we're finally going to be getting that done. Leanne said, question, Joe, what do you know about I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Cholesterol deposits around your eyes. Mine seem to be growing slowly on keto, even after a year. I honestly, I don't know anything about it. I'm not a doctor or
I would
health
reach out to
professional.
Dr.
I'd
Barry.
reach out to Dr. Barry.
I definitely would.
Everyday Adventure is a question. Any problem using a heat gun for removing wallpaper to do things in the kitchen like melting cheese on a dish quickly, etc.? No.
He has used a blowtorch and
I got a blowtorch I put in my kitchen.
Yes.
I don't think Rachel's going to let me use it in the new kitchen.
I will not.
I might still just do it.
No.
But yeah, you can use a heat gun to melt cheese. Why not? It's just a heat gun. Just it's a good idea.
Be careful.
Actually. Now I'm going to pull out my Milwaukee heat gun. Trish said I made a simple syrup of allulose, water, and lemon emulsion to drizzle on our yogurt or adding into tea.
Ooh, that is good.
Because she wanted to know any great ideas for getting more allulose in our diets other than baked keto treats. We make the slushies.
Yes, we do. When we make the slushie using the Ninja Slushie, which we enjoyed this past week. It was now that we have countertops, I feel like a boss. We were actually able to put our Ninja Slushie on the countertop in the kitchen and make slushies.
Carrie said Joe needs some sardines that is carnivore and no mercury. Carrie, you can eat all of my sardines. I think I would eat a boot
before you would eat sardines. Oh, gosh,
I really do.
Really? I enjoy sardines.
I think I will eat the chicken testicles before I eat sardines.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
You're that? Yeah. This is the bridge he's going to die on, folks.
That is the bridge I'm going to die on. Like,
okay.
The smell,
good to know what your limit is. It's good to have boundaries.
It really is. Speaking of which, Trish said I started our egg and sardine fast today. You're ruining perfectly good eggs with sardines. Started with an egg fast coffee, egg loaf later today, as well as sardine salad. Okay, at least you're not mixing the sardines with the eggs. I'm not trying to offend anybody. This is just like...
You're just doing it?
It's just...
You're not trying to, it's just happening?
Ew. It's like you and liver.
I do not enjoy liver, but I do enjoy
you
sardines.
And frogs.
I like them fried. Like sardines fried in butter.
Frog legs?
No, but that's not a food. That's not a taste thing. That is a weird mental picture for me.
But they're dead.
I know.
They can't hurt you anymore.
I can eat... if you... take it off, like if you just chop up the meat.
Until I tell you it's a frog.
I would probably be able to eat it until you tell me it's a frog. In which case you will be wearing whatever it is that you put that meat in.
Yep. Andrew said sometimes I feel like a drug dealer when I carry around a gram scale in little baggies.
Oh, I bet.
So when Chris was developing Salty, I got the honor to try them. It was like January, a couple years ago. We were in Utah. I went to the office with him and we're making up tests. I'm like, oh, I really like these, but I really want to use them for a while because they were not available to market. So he showed me all how to mix it all up, and I'm taking all the different ingredients and mixing it and putting in the flavor.
Two of you are like Breaking Bad.
And I had to bring them home, and I made a lot of them. I made like 50, 60 packages of them. And they were in what we call dime bags, jeweler bags. They're like this big, right? And I felt like I was just like, I told Rachel, we will be packing this in our luggage.
It's a big suitcase.
We will not be putting this through carry-on because it literally looked like I was traveling with 50 bags of cocaine.
You feel like that too when you travel with a keto brick.
Yeah.
You know you're going to get pulled over. Like, because imagine this like C4 looking thing going through like the security camera. Like, I can just imagine if I'm like the agent that's looking at this come through, my look to you would be like, what the heck are you trying to pull that you are bringing this through? Like, clearly this is not okay. Like, every single time you know you're going to get pulled over for that. Like,
right.
We need to start traveling where we've melted down the keto brick into like heart-shaped somethings.
Patty said a friend of mine is convinced that feeding raw meat to dogs is how you turn them mean. I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that
before. I can see
before.
Maybe if you were giving them blood or allowing them to kill an animal, because, they say dogs are really wolves, and once they get that taste of blood and that of killing an animal, like they want it. It's just like anything else. If a raccoon kills one of your chickens, they know it's food there. So at this point, it's now you're going to have to kill that raccoon.
If you give me something that I really like, and I
know a lot of people who feed raw.
I I will go for a while where I am mean enough not to share that thing, and I will eat like what is not my portion. If we have made a brisket, I get very mean and will eat all the fatty pieces and will leave behind lean things for Joe. That's very mean.
Matt said we went to Beer Garden at Epcot yesterday. Thought about when we all
Nice.
went there and ate all the
Oh,
meats.
that
That
was
was awesome.
such a nice time.
That was
What a
about a
good
year ago.
memory. Yes.
Elle said that hits home, Joe. We may not be losing weight, but we look slimmer and feel better.
Right? Welcome.
Mary said
Welcome,
I'm on
Susan.
Manjaro, and my doctor has me on a carnivore diet. My A1C has gone down to 6.1. My advice would be cut the carbs as much as you can. Be patient. I'm a year into it and off of most of my medication.
That is so awesome.
Nicole said, I'm laughing out loud. I just lied to my doctor, too. I had amazing blood work, except my cholesterol was a little high, and they recommended eating less red meat and cheese.
And you're like, sure.
I just,
I'm totally doing that. How many times have we lied to the dentist about our flossing frequency?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a monster, but like, am I flossing 3 times a day? No, I'm not.
Carolyn said, I've been in remission from diabetes for 6 years. I had the diagnosis for 3 months.
Right? So what is the answer? I think that you have to, it's what works for you. Like what is the banner that you want over your head? I got to tell you, being able to recognize after talking with Dr. Chris Palmer that I was not mentally ill. I had brain health issues. Like that was a total different distinction for yourself. Like if I think if somebody is having an issue in some other organ of their body and you're able to help that organ and restore that organ to its proper function, you don't have to live broken the rest of your life. But I think that, depending on like if someone wants to say, hey, this is who you are, and you take their banner for your life, it can really mess with you.
Right.
So it's kind of like what you choose to identify as.
Right.
If you're somebody that's like, hey, I am a former diabetic, or I am a diabetic who's in remission, or I am no longer a type 2 diabetic, like whatever you want to distinguish yourself as, that's what you say. And you don't have to like get into a fight with your doctor, but when that doctor says to you, this is who you are, you can have a conversation on the inside of you that's saying, that's not true. I don't believe that about me anymore.
I saw Donna Joe said prey drive. My dog didn't have a prey drive, was fed a raw for 6 years. Letting them kill their food is a different story. And Bob said, we feed our dogs ground beef and raw liver every day. They are fine. And Jesse said, does anyone feed their dogs a cooked carnivore diet? I know a lot of people who do that.
Yeah.
I did see this from Sabrina. Before we get off, she said, this may not be the right place to ask, but has anyone had sciatic nerve issues, and what do you do for it? I want to get it taken care of before the cruise. I get them every once in a while. Depends on if I have something in my back pocket, and I honestly just suffer through it. I find putting things in my back pocket can kind of cause it. Sometimes it's the way you sit, but I've never handled it. Medically.
I do think that it's worth going to see somebody about like, yes, how is your back aligned? Like, what are you favoring? Going and getting like sized for a shoe at a running store. Somebody probably needs to look at your gait, like how you walk and how you're favoring certain things. Yeah. And we just get into a habit of it, and it becomes like working on our posture probably is going to take you finding out like how are you lined up, and do you need to change the way you do things. If you carry your purse, even if you're doing a crossbody bag, but it's like all of the load of that is on one side of your body, we're going to compensate to carry it. Yeah. Right?
A couple more before we get off. John said originally dime bags were coin collectors put their dimes in. That's how they got their name. And then last one will be Jesse said, Rachel, I'm the same way. I love sardines. My husband is like Joe. He's an absolute no, and don't even want me air frying them when he's at home.
To cook them outside.
Oh, I go further than that. Like
I have to cook them outside.
Outside. No. Because that is worse than burnt bacon. Like getting rid of that smell out of your house. Ugh. No.
Jesse, thank you for feeling my pain, knowing it. Please know, dear friend, that you are not alone either, that I'm also dealing with what you're dealing with.
Are you done?
Possibly.
Okay, we're going to get off, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a vlog coming out tomorrow. We have a special video coming out on Wednesday.
Yes.
We'll be launching our other channel for our homesteading
this
week. So excited about that. Again, head on over to our Mighty Networks group, members at twocrazyketos.com. Consider joining for either the free group or to help us with the financial one in one of the paid groups, or consider using the link down below and buying us a cup of coffee. We'll be back live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
We love you guys.
Bye.